So as you can see, I'm in a pretty standard ancillary rep Hookbill, and I'm about to warp in the Plex with another Hookbill inside. So first thing what I do is I check my default orbit. The default orbit and keypad ranges in the game are ship type specific. So when you switch between kiting and scrum kiting hookbills, you need to make sure that you adjust your orbit range, because it will be consistent for both of these ships, and obviously you do not want to have like 8-kilometer orbit in a kiting hookbill. So it's just a good habit to have, to double check your orbit range before you actually engage in the fight. In this case, I change my 8-kilometer orbit to 500 meters, because when you fight against a hookbill out of position in this specific feat with 2 ancillary reps, you want to generally engage close to avoid fighting against missile disruptor feats at scrum range. If you don't do it and just start scrum kiting and the other guy has a missile disruptor, when it will force you to reload from the rage ammo to faction ammo, which is something you do not really want to do. So it's important to be within 6 kilometers, but generally as close as possible. It's better. So as you can see, my first actions are approach with Afterburner on, and here I make a small micromanagement mistake. I forgot to preheat the Afterburner for the first cycle, which you should do, because the first cycle is very important, because first cycle completes before any control modules are applied, so the impact is very significant. Yeah, but as you can see, I immediately correct my mistake, and the second the second cycle of Afterburner will be heated. So I preheated it with a hotkey. Okay, so first 10 seconds into the fight, well, it was pretty obvious from the engagement range that Hookbill will have rockets, so it's not a big surprise. But what is a bit surprising is his feat. As you can see from the damage on his shields, his medium shield extender feat. You can compare the amount of damage what I take on my shields compared to his feat, which is pretty rare, but occasionally it happens. MSE hookbills are decent. They're just not as common as this feat what I'm using, or the feat with tracking a missile disruptor. Okay, so a couple of more things. Immediately here, I see from the damage log that something is a bit off, both in terms of his damage application and in terms of my damage application. Let's talk about his damage first. So he has very low damage application because he shoots Ron type of rocket with only one web. So as you can see, I'm checking him specifically for the number of webs that he has in the feat, and you can see it has only one web, but it's also pretty obvious from the navigation panel as well. And when you have only one web, you have to use faction armor against afterburner frigates, because it will give you more DPS because of because of poor application of rage rockets. And my damage application is also a bit low, which is why I'm like trying to figure out what's his feat actually, because it doesn't look like a normal medium shield extender hookbill. Usually when you fight hookbill without any specific resist modules, your volley in this feat should be around 240, but here as you can see it's only like 190. So it says that probably this is a hookbill with an invol. And it also lines up with the fact that it has only one web. So his medium slots are afterburner, scrum web, medium shield extender, and invol. This is what you can already see from the first 15 seconds of a fight. Okay, so what does this actually mean? Let's talk about micromanagement first. So I start to take damage, and it's pretty clear that I will need to take my drugs here before to survive this fight, maybe. And before you activate any of your ancillary reps, you have to consume your drugs, which I do. And now you can activate your reps. Obviously you have to preheat them to extract the maximum repping power, and generally you do not want to perma-run them, otherwise you will over-rep and it's not efficient. So yeah, I only do like one cycle each, and after that I preheat them again before activating them with a hotkeys. You can see it, yep. So I preheated and activated them again. You can see that I activate them pretty late, because I know that this hookbill has pretty poor damage, and it's very important not to overrep, to use all the tank as efficiently as possible. So I activate it almost when I hit a hole, which is fine. Okay, let's roll back a few seconds, because here I made a pretty significant mistake. So what's the trick when fighting against this hookbill? It can be pretty difficult to out damage this ship because it has so much tank. And what's important is to maintain the maximum possible speed at all times. Because when he shoots Rage with only one web, his application is actually extremely poor, and every time your speed drops from the maximum, his actual DPS will increase significantly. So for now it's fine. I'm burning towards him at maximum speed, which is 600 on the one web. With heated afterburner, everything is perfectly fine. But now obviously I'm catching him pretty fast, like his speed is only 300 because he is under double web. And what I do not want to do is to bump into him, lose my speed, and add speed to his ship. And as you can see, I'm already 1.7 kilometers off him, and I am closing in rapidly. So what I do is that I click orbit. This is a mistake. Yep, you can see right here. The correct management of this situation is actually to double click in line with his movement direction, with his movement vector. To not bump into him, but like kind of burn towards him to a specific point in space. The problem with an orbit, which you will see immediately, right now I'm always almost at 500 meters, and let's see what happens. Yeah, my ship goes into the orbit. It turns a little bit, and when the ship turns it loses speed, and you can see immediately how much more damage I start taking from this mistake. Like usually I took about 160, and here it increases to 200 and to 260 even. So it's not double, but like more than 50% actual DPS increase, just because I made like a micromanagement error. 250 again, as you can see, 220, so it's a significant. I basically gifted him a bunch of free damage because I made a piloting mistake. Like here, my ship already turns and I actually gain speed a little bit back, but it's a significant mistake nonetheless. So here, when you have about like 4 charges in your ancillary rep, it's decision time. You still have enough tank to leave if you want to leave, and you can leave because you have control advantage even though you're pretty close. If I just click like burn in the opposite direction, most likely I would be able to burn out of his scrum range and warp off. And usually this decision time is when you have about 3 or 4 ancillary charges in your MASB. So here I thought about it for a while, and I thought, well, it looks like I'm not really winning, but it doesn't look completely hopeless. Like he is less than 50% shield, and this is like 80 or 90% of his tank, because after he goes into armor, he will pop almost immediately. And I'm a little lower than 50% of my effective tank, so it looks okay. Maybe I have a shot. I don't think there is a reason to bail out of the situation, especially considering that I'm flying like a 20 million Hookbill, so it's not a big deal really. So I decide to stay. Again, the orbiting is wrong because I do not actually keep my maximum possible speed, and I take more damage when I shoot. You can compare like 160 versus 200. This is like 20% more DPS than I could have taken if I was piloting my ship correctly. Yeah, but here, yeah, it's pretty obvious that I'm not really winning the DPS race, so I just focus on managing the remainder of my tank. Now it's already too late to leave. And yeah, here I correctly turned off heat on my afterburner because I think it had only one additional cycle, and after that he would have burned out. But for whatever reason, I also turn off heat on my rockets, which is obviously a mistake. And actually, I turn off heat on my rockets earlier than on afterburner, which is really weird mistake. Yeah, and as you can see, I'm pretty much out of tank. The important trick here is to turn off both auto reload on your medium ancillary shield booster and on your small ancillary shield rep, because once you're out of charges, you may still have a little bit of cap to cycle these modules like 1 or 2 times more, and it just gives you just a little bit more hit points, which may or may not make a difference. With medium ancillary shield rep, you usually can't rep again because it just nukes your cap, and as you can see, I don't have enough cap to cycle it even once. But with ancillary rep, you usually can run it a few more times after you're out of paste. Yeah, but here, as you can see, I'm just losing DPS race. He's out of shields, but I'm completely out of tank, so it's pretty much over. Yeah, I looked at his feet after this fight, and actually it was a pretty expensive Hookbill. He had faction missiles, faction missile launchers, I should say, and faction invul as well. So it was like between 350 and like 400 million Hookbill. But nevertheless, if I did everything correctly, then it would have been a significantly closer fight. So I hope you find this explanation useful, and thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.